I'm going to continue on with the star check demo. So what we're going to do is use the tell knowledge module so that we can say something like, tell me when the phasers are armed, and then we'll say arm the phasers, and then the system will tell us that the phasers were armed. So we're going to use this knowledge module. Let's look at it. So we have to implement this semantics, which if we implement this, we can return a promise that will fire whenever the event we're interested in happens, and then the other knowledge module will take care of telling the user. So I'm going to start by copying the previous version. We'll just make sure it still works. Q. All right, so what do we want to do? Okay, so let's add the tell knowledge module to this thing. Oops, where am I? Part 5. So we'll get the tell knowledge module. Oh wait, did I do a reinstall? Yeah, okay, tell. And add it to the config. Tell. So let's try that. Tell me when the status of the phasers is armed. That didn't work very good. Let's debug it. Oh, okay, so the first problem is armed is not defined. So I forgot to define that, so let's define armed. We'll just shove it in words and make it a status. I'll just copy it out of here so I don't have to remember how to do this. So we'll map the word armed to a status that is armed. Two of them, armed. And it will be a kind of status, and then if we set the value to armed, we can use that later on in our semantics. I'm not going to do not armed. Maybe in the future I'll implement not as its own operator, and we should just be able to get not armed for free. So right now we'll just do armed. So status is armed, so let's try that, see what it says. So it's still not working, but let's take a look at armed. Yeah, so there's armed is now set up with as a status, and then it was able to apply this operator is, which expects stuff to match. Okay, so it's still not working because, oh, it looks like it applied the, it didn't apply the operator the. So this is usually an operator ordering thing. So we can go up here and we can look at the logs. All this junk says what this is the context that it was looking at, and in this context it decided to run this operator. So we just need to find out where it's wrong. Yeah, so I think for this is one, we don't want the is to run before we don't want the is to run before the. So let's make it so the is going to run first. So I copy this, and then we just add it to the priorities array. So what we're doing here is we're giving data directly to the neural net. There's code that generates test data, so I have to go fix that to account for some hierarchy stuff, and I haven't got around to that. So right now we're just going to give data directly to the neural net. So in this context, I want you to choose, so the thing you list last is the operator it's going to choose. So the, so yeah, that's what I want. I want to choose the. Let's try again. And it still didn't work. So what's wrong now? Oh, so it looks like this one died. Yeah, that one died, so it's probably just an operator ordering again. Yeah, so here it picked the is before the property of, but the sentence is the status of the phasers is armed. So we want the property of to run before that operator, fire before is. So we'll copy this and shove this in here. And we want property of to run first. So we want property of to be the chosen operator in this context. What is wrong now? So is didn't apply right. So let's see. Oh, so I added these new log messages. Applying is failed due to the expected type queryable not matching the found type property of. Oh no, I think that's not what the problem is. It's still an ordering one. Property of, yeah. So here's the problem here: is it ran property of 2, which is a postfix operator that hits on the status. So it didn't pick that one in the right order. We want it to do property of first. And again, I'm going to fix all this when I fix the data generator. I have a 4-day weekend coming up, so we'll do it then. Oops, this is the wrong one. Copy the right one, copy. So it's going to be property of 1 and tell 0. Try that again. So we're just working on getting it to process the operators in the right order. And again, I'll fix that this weekend. There we go. So now it's doing this. Tell me when the status of the phasers is armed. So now we got it processing the sentence correctly. Okay, so now let's go do what it said to do for the semantics in order to make this tell thing work. So we'll go over here and grab this junk. Copy, shove it in here. You. Okay, so what are we doing? Right, so we have to make the matcher match the context we're interested in. So the important part is this args thing. So it's this sort of acts like in C++ when you have the arguments be part of the type signature. So this is sort of like the function name, and then we check the arguments, which are going to be properties in the property bag, and we can do that based on type. So if we look at what we're going to get, we're going to get this kind of junk. So it's going to be called with this is, it's going to be called with this is, and so we know we're going to get a property with 1 and 2, and they're both going to be of type status. So we'll go over here and we'll say what types we want to see, status and status, and then what properties to check for the statuses, 1 and 2. And then I'm going to put debugger here so we can just make sure we're getting into this spot. All right, let's see if that works. Oops. Okay, there. So we made it in there. So now what we need to do at this point is we need to return an event that will fire when the status of the phasers is armed, and then the framework will take care of checking all that jazz. So what are we going to do? So let's okay, let's make an event that will fire when the status has changed. New promise. Do resolve this, that, this. Okay, so let's do this. So we'll just make a callback function. And then what do we want to do? F is going to be right. So we pass in whatever context, whatever thing has happened. So we do this kind of thing. Actually, maybe I can make this as part of the example. And okay, so we have this, and so now we want to save it. So we'll put the callback in the enterprise object. So pass in a matcher. So we'll pass in some function that'll get enterprise, and it will check if I forget what the data structure is. So we'll check if enterprise dot weapons dot phasers dot armed. So this will be the matcher. So what it'll do is in the enterprise, anytime there's a state change, we'll go through and run this matcher, and it'll go, as soon as it's armed, then run the applier, and it'll be the thing that does stuff. What does we want to do? Oh, we want to resolve. We want to say the event happened. So we'll just call this F function. Whoops. Yeah, no, that's right. F. There. So when this condition becomes true, then we'll call this F function, which will resolve the promise and pass in the context. Okay, so it's that business. Let's go add something to enterprise to do all this now. So we have on, and it's going to be match apply. And we'll just have a list of these things. Okay, something like that, and just ons dot push match. Oh, let's just do it like this, and they're labeled nice. Okay, so we'll shove that in there, and then we'll have a change function that's called, whenever there's a change to this data structure, we'll call this, and then this can run through those. So we'll prize.ons.filter. So we'll, once an event fires, we'll remove it from the list. Yeah, why not? Filter, what am I filtering? On, this, that, this. So if on.match enterprise, so if the event matches the current state of the enterprise, then we'll return false because we want to remove it from the list. Otherwise, we'll return true because we want to keep it in the list. And then what we'll also do is we'll apply, we'll do the apply. And so then that's going to do the callback and trigger the event. All right, so now we got that set up. So in here, let's change this so we know when the values are altered. So we'll have this in here. We'll do get armed. Armed can just return this thing. What are we doing? Return armed enterprise dot armed. And for setter, we'll do, oh, setter can do the callback. Set value, assign value, and then we'll just call there. Okay, so we have this thing, we're saving these callback things that will run the events. This thing will loop through all the stuff. If it has that, creates a new list of, oh, I'm going to update the list to not have the old values in. Stop that. There. So we'll update the list so it just has the ones that haven't already fired. Up here, when a change comes in, oh, it should get this one, not that one. And then we want to set this and not that. Okay. Okay, let's get this go. See what happens. Node crew. Oh wait, let's use Sulu because I already set him up to say arm. When you say arm the phaser, Sulu does something, but the other ones don't. Sulu minus Q, or let's run it in looper mode. Yeah. Yeah, so that's not good. Oh, missing commas, magical comma. Give that a go again. No. More commas. Way more commas. Okay. No, missing that after list. This. Oh, okay, for the filter. Is that right? Did I put it in the right spot? No. This. That. Okay, there. Tell me when the phasers, or the status of the phasers. The status of. In the future, I'll make tell me when the phasers are armed work. But right now we have this. Tell me when the status of the phasers is armed. Well, that's not groovy. Enterprise line 21. Enterprise there. Try that again. One more try. Tell me when the status of the phasers is armed. All right, so now we'll say arm the phasers. Hot damn, it worked. So this is the code from when Sulu's arming the phasers. We print out what he's doing. And then this comes from the tell knowledge module, where it's like, tell me that the status of the phasers is armed. Cool, so that worked. So what I'm going to work on next is, I think I'm going to do it and them, so we can say, what is the status of the phasers? And then the system will go, not armed. And then we can say, arm them. Also, I want to eventually make, tell me when the phasers are armed work. And so you don't have to say, tell me when the status of the phasers are armed working. So I'm going to stop now, and I'll come back in the future with more demoing.